This is the picture of Snoopy that I'm going to be drawing. And all you'll need is a piece of paper, a pencil, an eraser, and a black Sharpie. So I'm going to start with my sketchbook vertical or up and down. And remember, we want to take our time and not press hard with our pencil, like always, right? We want to be able to erase some of our pencil lines, so make sure you draw lightly. Okay, so the first basic shape we're going to start with is an oval. And this is going to be part of Snoopy's head. And so maybe find the center of your paper and the bottom of your oval can be at the center. So maybe come a little bit higher and we're going to draw a vertical oval or an oval that's going up and down. So something like this, very lightly, an oval going up and down. So why don't you pause the video and you can draw that. So next, we're going to draw the front part of his face or his head, where his nose is. So there's a dip right here. So right about here, we're going to come out and we're going to make, it's almost like another oval, but it's a little bit uneven, right about there. So this is the shape we want when we're done. It's hard to get it just right. Like I said, these characters look like they're easy to draw, but they're really not as easy as you think to get them right, to make them look just right. Okay, so why don't you work on that for a few minutes? You can pause the video and then we're going to erase this line right here. So make sure you're not pressing hard. Okay, why don't you go ahead and pause the video and you can do this part and you can erase this line. So now we're going to draw his ear, and his ear is basically like a big letter U, but I want to come back a little bit further. I want to, instead of making it right here, I want to come back a little further like this. I feel like my oval wasn't fat enough. Okay, so if yours is too skinny there, you might want to back yours up a little bit. And then I'm just going to make a big letter U. See how it's a big letter U? And I want it to stop about the center, right in the middle there. So stop it somewhere near the middle. Okay, so why don't you pause the video and you can draw the ear. So now we're going to make his neck, and his neck is very skinny. So right about here, not at the bottom of the ear, come a little bit higher from the bottom of the ear and curve in. And we want to curve in from this side too. And we want a very skinny neck. Just like that, very skinny. Okay, so if you have to pause the video, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're going to start to make his body. And his body is basically, it's like an oval. So we could just draw a fat oval. Now remember, his head is much bigger than his body. So this oval is going to be much smaller. But what we want to do is we want to connect it. It almost is like the shape of, I don't know, maybe a vase or something. It curves down, or like a raindrop shape, like that. Something like that. Have you noticed this year that a lot of things that we draw have that raindrop or teardrop shape? Comes up quite often, doesn't it? All right, so see how it turns into this shape right here? Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and you can draw that. So now we're going to draw the legs and the feet. So let's just draw one leg at a time. So you can just draw two little short straight lines coming down like that. And the feet are basically long, skinny ovals. The only difference is it's kind of like a long, skinny oval like this. However, it's more like a straight line at the bottom, and then these are curved down. So it's a little bit more like that shape. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and draw one foot, you can do that now. And then the next one, we're not going to see the whole foot. It's behind the other one. So we're just going to draw one little line coming down. And you can stop it just above here. Don't touch it. Stop it before you get there. And then you're just going to repeat this line. You're going to come out and curve down and come back. Just like that. Okay, so now he has two legs and 2 feet. I feel like he needs to be a little bit fatter, so I'm going to make him just a little bit fatter here and a little bit fatter here. So if yours looks too skinny, you might want to make him a little bit fatter. And I'm actually pressing maybe a little too hard with my pencil. Okay, now we're going to add an arm. We only see one arm because we're seeing Snoopy from the side, right? This is a profile, so we're only going to see one eye, and we're only going to see one arm. So the arm's pretty easy. It's just 2 lines coming down like this, and this one in front can go a little longer and curve. And we're just going to draw 2 little curved lines. 1, 2. To make it look like a little paw. Okay? Where there's 3 parts to his paw. 1, 2, 3. So if you need to pause the video and draw his arm, you can do that now. Okay, now we're going to draw his tail and his nose and just a couple more details. So his tail, right by his paw here, you just want to draw 2 lines. One of them is basically a straight line and the other one is a little bit more curved. And you're just making a long, skinny tail like that. Pretty easy. Okay. And then let's go up to his head and we're going to draw his nose. His nose is kind of low, so it's not way up here, at least in the drawing that I'm looking at, the reference picture that I'm using to draw Snoopy, this profile. It's down here, and it's just basically an oval, or it doesn't, you really don't see the tip of the oval there. So you might think of it as just a loop, kind of like that. And we'll color part of it in later with our Sharpie. And then the eye. It's really important to put the eye in the right spot. If the eye is not in the right place, it will look a little odd. It'll look a little funny. So see where this dip is? The dip, if you find kind of the middle of the dip and come down, that's right about where you want to put his eye. And it's just a You could think of it as a fat line or a very skinny oval. Okay, so find the dip, come straight down, and you just want to make it very, very skinny. Okay, so if you have to pause the video and do that, you can. And for a smile, his smile actually starts back here, so behind his eye. So maybe come down and over a little bit, right about there. And you can just draw a little smile like that. And now he needs a collar. I think I want that a little lower. There we go. Okay, his collar's just a line basically, or you could think of it as a skinny oval across his neck, like that, very skinny oval. And if you want to put, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be fur or if it's supposed to be an eyebrow. I think it's an eyebrow. Right here. It's like an eyebrow. So you can just put a little curved line like that. And I think the rest we will do with Sharpie. His ear gets colored in, part of his nose gets colored in, his collar gets colored in. He does have one spot on him back here, but we'll do that with Sharpie. So let's switch to our regular fine tip Sharpie now. So I have my regular Sharpie, and so we're just gonna outline everything first. Okay, so if you want to pause the video and outline, you can do that now. It's important to use a permanent marker like a Sharpie because other markers might smear when you erase your pencil lines. So I've finished outlining everything. And so now we're going to add some detail with our Sharpie and fill some things in. Okay, so on the feet, we want to add 2 curved lines to show a separation of his paws. So 1, 2, and actually over here, let's just add 1 because we don't see the whole foot. And you might notice I went over it twice just to make the lines a little thicker. Okay, and if you want to go over your lines twice to make them a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker, you can do that. So see how I'm going over them twice just to make them a little thicker. Okay, now you might not realize it, but Snoopy does have a very small spot on his back. So I'm just going to put a little curved line here and color that in black. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. And I'm just thickening up his arm here. And he also has a little bit of black, like a spot on his tail. So you can color in a little bit of his tail like that. Okay. So why don't you pause the video, and while you're working on that, I'm going to go ahead and thicken all of my lines here by going over them again. So on this eyebrow, I'm going to make that really thick like that. And now in the nose, let's just make another smaller circle or oval shape at the bottom and fill that in, just like that. Okay, and now let's fill in his ear. So if you want to draw another letter U inside the ear like that. And you might notice when you look at pictures of the Peanuts characters, not everything is fully colored in. So if you want to color it in, but maybe leave some white so it looks almost a little bit sloppy, if that makes sense. Okay, there's a little bit of white showing. I didn't fill it in totally. And he really wasn't being sloppy. He did this on purpose because it makes the characters look a little more charming and whimsical. So go ahead and fill in your ear. And now we're almost done. All we have to do is fill in his collar. And again, if you want to leave a little bit of white, you can leave that in the collar as well. Or if you just fill it in solid black, that's fine too. Okay, and then all we have to do is erase all our pencil lines. So why don't you pause the video and erase your pencil lines. So I erased all my pencil lines, and there's my Snoopy.